So guys, I'm camping in Shropshire. It's mid-February, the sun is shining. It's not going to be that cold, it's not going to be the freezing cold that we often get in this time of year. And I'm here with a new tent that I've bought, which is a Robens Voyager 2EX. So Robens Voyager 2EX, which is a two-person tunnel tent. Specification wise, it looks to be a very, very good tent. I bought this tent with the intention of using this as my go-to winter and bad weather all year round tent. Now, I'm not going to get into the detail of the spec of it at the moment, and to be honest with you, I really would like to get the tent up because of the time of day. So what we'll do is we'll get the tent put up, and then we'll go through some specification on it and have a look at it. I've not seen it yet. I've opened the bag and had a quick look, but to be honest, not used it. Like the look of it. Let's see how it goes. Well, I didn't bother looking at instructions. When I looked on YouTube, that was 2 or 3 months ago, so I'd forgotten. But it's easy enough, I figured it out. That's taken its basic shape now. It's only got 4 pegs in holding it. 2 at the front, 2 at the back. But you can see roughly the shape of this tent. And it is a very, very nice looking tent. I love the green. It's sort of just, it's going to be a green that blends in wherever you take it, I think. Anyway, there's only the 4 pegs. It's a little bit blustery, not too bad. But I am going to get the rest of the pegs in and then get the inside set up. So I've got the tent completely pegged out around the circumference of the tent. The only guy line I've put out at the moment is on the rear where the air vent is, and the guy line comes out from that air vent. There are more guy lines around the tent and I haven't done them at the moment. I'm not so sure I'll need them actually tonight, but I'll see later on once I do a final check of everything. time to do the inside now. Now you can see the inner of the tent isn't attached, and obviously you don't need to keep it attached when you're taking it down, putting it up, but I'll probably attach it and leave it attached unless the tent is really wet when I pack up. So let's get that inner done and see where we go from here. Well, that's the inner hooked in. I'll show you in detail around the tent and how it connects, and colour-coded poles. Gone up very, very easy. The inner part of the tent's clicked in very quickly, very easy as well. In addition to the tent, I've also bought a ground sheet for the living space of the tent, so the porch area, because that doesn't have anything, it's just bare ground. And that's the ground sheet. Comes in that little bag there, but I guess it could actually just go in the main bag. But this is how it is. So I'll get that installed, and then I'm going to start putting gear in. Yeah, very nice. It's very nice quality, this. So again, guys, I haven't looked at the instructions. I've no real idea how it fits, but it's can't be that difficult, can it? Let's see. Well, from a point of view of fixing this ground sheet, all I've done for the back and for the sides is to attach this loop to the existing peg. Now, I'm not so sure, obviously they give you extra pegs to use the pegs, but if you don't need to use them, why use them? Well, that's worked a treat. It fits perfectly, nicely tensioned, and again, when I show you around the tent, I'll show you how I've actually ended up doing it. It sits probably about 3 or 4 inches off the side walls, so that when it's raining, maybe driving rain, it's not going to necessarily get water onto the ground sheet itself. So that seems to be quite a good design. But now the tent's ready to occupy. So I think I'll just get my gear together, and then I'll show you on another occasion, when I get everything sorted, maybe tomorrow, I'll have a walk around the tent to show you. But for now, I'm going to get set up. Either have a fire tonight or go to the pub tonight. Oof. Let's see. So guys, I had my first night's sleep in the Robens tent. It's the Voyager 2EX, part of the trail range, and it's designed for adverse weather conditions, high winds, and to be honest, this tent will cope with most conditions that we would encounter. As I mentioned, this tent I've bought this tent to use as a year-round tent for adverse conditions, and specifically for winter camping. I have other tents, and I will use the range of other tents, but this will become my main tent for winter camping, and for any adverse summer conditions where it's going to be raining. At least you've got a porch area. I had a good night's sleep. It was around about 5 degrees in the middle of the night. That's inside the tent, so a little bit cooler outside. And the tent was very, very warm. I'll show you inside the tent where you've got a mesh panel in the inner door that you can zip down. And I had to last night just to keep the air circulating because it was getting a bit too warm in the sleeping bag and all nice and cosy. Had no condensation last night, and to be honest, I'm not so sure we'll get much condensation with this tent. The venting seems to be really, really good. So just before we have a little look around the tent, I'm going to go over the technical details of the tent, and I had to make notes because I can't recall everything. As you get older, it gets worse. So obviously it's a 2-person tunnel tent. From the trail range, the tent is tested to 160 kilometers an hour, which is just under 100 miles per hour winds, and it's tested in a wind tunnel, and it's tested to a maximum of 168 kilometers an hour, which is around about 105, just under 105 mile per hour. So they're comfortable. This tent will deal with 100 mile per hour winds. So you can look at the design of it and the shape of it and see the sloping rear part of the tent, which is the sleeping area. It is a really nice put together tent. The company is Danish, and they've been operating for around about 50 years. In fact, I think actually it's 50 years this year, which is 2023. So the weight of the pack size is 3.2 kilogram. So it's on the higher end of what I would normally buy, but it's been bought for a purpose. So 3.2 kilogram. Pack size is 43 by 17 centimeters. The fly sheet is a 75D polyester, 190T, and it's their Hydrotex HD RS fabric. Drip stop, it's fire retardant, and the whole thing is, and it's 100% polyester. The floor to the inner tent is 75D polyester, a taffeta polyester, 210T, and it has a hydrostatic head of 10,000 millimeter. So the flooring, 10,000 millimeter. The actual fly sheet is 5,000 millimeter hydrostatic head. So all round, pretty good build quality to deal with adverse conditions. The inner tent is 68D polyester, 190T. It's a breathable polyester, 100% polyester, breathable. It has a mesh at the far end, which corresponds with a vent to the outside. And the door to the inner tent has a half moon zip with half moon shaped venting. So you can vent right the way through the whole of the tent. Poles, they're alloy 7001 T6, 8.5 millimeter, and they're anodized. Once the tent's up, this is a really strong, stable tent. I also bought as an additional extra the ground sheet for the porch area of the tent, and that has a 75D polyester taffeta 210T, and that has 10,000 millimeter hydrostatic head as well. So, the pack size for that is just 25 by 6 centimeters, but to be honest with you, it would just pack very small into the main tent bag if needed. Does make a difference, and it's worth a treat last night. Whilst the conditions are dry, it's still a bit damp, you know, it's dry for winter, but the ground is still has that little bit of dampness to it. So having the ground sheet in the porch area has been a bonus. I think we'll have a little look around it, and I'll point out anything else that's of interest as we walk around. So I think we'll start at the front. I'm calling it the front anyway. And this is the porch end of the tent. As you can see, it's the highest point is in the middle, and that's where the inner and the porch connect. So this is the venting on the front of the tent. Just simply velcroed into place, so you can batten down the hatches if you need to. Also, you've got a further tie-out point, which I haven't used, on the vent, so you can tie that out if the conditions are extremely windy. And you'll notice there's also tie-out points on both sides, extra tie-out points there and on that side. And that corresponds all the way down the tent. If you look, you can see the little white tabs. So you've got the all those additional tie-out points. You've got an extra seven guy line points to really hold this tent in place if the conditions were extremely windy. As it is, I've just connected the 3 side guy lines, and the conditions have not been windy here, so I probably didn't even need to do that, but I just thought I would do. And also you can see there's a tie-out point at the rear of the tent, which is attached to the vent that you can see there. Now that vent can be closed down as well, so you just take these just release the guy lines, and you could batten that down if you want to, but I don't see any need to do so. But I suppose if the conditions were so bad, you could just do that. You'll see that the tent is really running close to the ground, which again is a big bonus for winter camping. And the poles, there's 3 poles, and they're pushed through from the right of the image, and the sleeves that they push through are the flat, low profile sleeves. You can just see there. On this side of the tent, on the left hand side, as we look at it from the rear, this is where the poles come into a captive sleeve, and you can see the quality of the extra stressing point at the bottom there. Now these peg out without any adjustment, so they just literally stretch out and peg. Whereas on the other side, you have adjustment on the other side to tighten the tent up. And each of the 4 corners have got these peg out points with buckles and tightening straps. There's an extra peg out point in the middle of the tent, just here. So the poles are colour coordinated, so you've got the yellow, red and silver for the final pole at the front. And the colour on the pole is just on the cap end. The poles slot nicely into this metal buckle, and then the whole tent is tensioned down, bringing it to ground level by these little straps.
Another nice feature is this. So on your guy lines, when you fold your guy lines up, you literally just put the little bundle through there, that's adjustable, and then cinch this down, and it just holds everything in place nicely. Lovely thought out tent this. There is a bit of a dip in the ground here, that's why you've got a slight gap at the bottom. The ground's a little bit uneven where I'm at. So you've got that big D-shaped door. You've got these nice quality toggles, so you can actually vent the door. So it's a double zip, and the zips are really nice quality. Can't see branding on them, but they are really heavy duty, nice quality. So to get extra venting, you can just zip that down from outside inside. So that's your door opened fully, and this then just toggles back to a couple of connectors on the right hand side. So just looking into the living space, you can see all my gear in there. So I've actually got the soft bag or soft bags from the motorbike over in that end, along with riding jacket and trousers and a few other bits and pieces. So just getting in, and with my back to the inner tent door, we can just have a little look around. Very difficult to gauge the space using a camera, but this is a decent space to use. And your vent is, your front vent is there. So the inner tent is connected with some very interesting connectors, and it's a bit difficult to show you because I can't do it one-handed, but they're very easy. Literally, they are little ball joints that push in with a firm click and then twist down, and that's how the inner tent is hung to the fly sheet, with plenty of connectors as well, plenty of strapping. The inner door is a nice big almost complete access. So what you do is you just literally roll that up, and there's a little pocket on the side there, and that's stuffed into the pocket, and that leaves you open for getting complete air into the inner tent and gives you more room. So the highest point in the tent is just where I'm sat now, which is that centre pole, and I'm 5'9", and there's probably about 4 inches above my head, 4 or 5 inches. So for a tent that's designed to withstand high winds, it has the profile, a lower profile, but you can still sit up in this tent. Couldn't sit on a chair in this tent, but you could certainly sit in the tent. And there's plenty of room. It's great. The inner tent itself has got gear in, so it gives you a perspective of how I've got it set out. So with the door open, that's the virtually the entire space that you can see for the sleeping area. my mat and sleeping bag are over to the right of the image, and you would get another mat beside it. So it is a two-person tent, but it would be quite compact. Now, I've got the top of the mat, the sleeping end, right up to the door, and at the bottom there's quite a lot of storage space at the foot end of the mat. So as we enter the tent, the other thing that's interesting is you've got a cord, a hanging cord, and that's tensionable. At about that point there, you can tension it. And that runs the entire length of the sleeping area. You've also got another storage pocket on the left-hand side. And obviously when the door is in place, you've got storage pocket to use on the right-hand side. That's all you've got storage-wise. And whilst the flooring has got a really good rating of 10,000 millimetre, normally with all my tents I would put a footprint underneath. So I'd put a footprint underneath this to keep it clean. When I'm packing away, it makes it easier. I haven't done so with this because I want to test it. But when I start using it further from now, I'll be using a footprint under there. Well, a tarp. They don't sell a footprint to fit under the bedroom floor. The only footprint they sell is the flooring for the actual porch area. It's got a nice high bathtub floor, and you can see the mesh vent that corresponds with the venting at the rear of the tent. So just at the bottom there, you can see I've packed some clothing, a Norwegian blanket that I always take when I winter camp, and just the bags for the gear that's in here. So, I hope that was interesting. It's a bit awkward filming inside a tent, so I hope you got to see enough of it to be useful. And I'll be using the tent over the next few years. This is a tent that I'll keep. Quite often I'll buy tents, review them, use them for 6 to 12 months and then sell them. But this one is one that I intend to keep. This is one that, as I mentioned early on in the video, that I want to use as a year-round tent for adverse conditions, whether it's summer or winter. As a winter tent, so I've got a little bit of porch area to cook in, just a shelter. And for using in high winds, stormy conditions, because I do go out in those conditions. And I've managed it in tents that are nowhere near as stable as this tent, but this tent is virtually guaranteed to withstand the conditions that I go out in. I love it. It's really nice. Had a pleasant sleep. I like the colour as well. It's that almost an olivey green. Like everything about it, really. Anyhow, I'm going to go now. I'll report back an update once I've used the tent for a few months and let you know if there's anything that hasn't worked out, or whether it is as it has been last night, it's worked well. And we'll see how it stands up to poorer weather conditions. So thanks a lot. Appreciate you watching. Give me a thumbs up, and really helps if you subscribe. The whole venture of buying tents, testing them, buying gear, campsite reviews is all done at my own expense, and I don't mind because I get great enjoyment out of this, but it does help if you subscribe. So thanks a lot, and we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks now.